This video contains disturbing content and strong language. Viewer discretion advised.
Want to go shopping?
Okay. I'm driving, remember?
The fuck are you doing?
Looking to make some noise.
I better not get injured for this.
I just drive.
Do I look like I want a body cast?
Sure, if that's how you see it.
Fuck you.
Yeah, bad timing.
Traffic is a major hazard to public health. If you're thinking of travelling abroad, then you might be interested in finding out which countries are the worst for driving in. The following is a list of the most dangerous countries to drive in.
France.
France has twice the area of the whole of the United Kingdom, about the same population, but until recently there are still quite a fair few accidents. Large numbers of French towns are very cramped, which can make parking a major problem, especially if you don't know your way around. A lot of French drivers tailgate others, and often at times you'll see a lot of near misses and accidents on roundabouts. Recently though, France has installed speed cameras to stop the ongoing problem.
Japan.
Driving in Japan is very inconvenient with heavy traffic in densely populated areas and strict road laws. Many would consider using only public transport as a safe means of venture this country. The roads are often densely packed with very harsh limits on how fast you can go. Almost 60% of the population of Japan have bicycles, and this can be a huge annoyance for drivers. Unfortunately, we have to see the same about traffic lights, which are almost on every street.
Canada.
Though Canada is sparsely populated in the countryside, road conditions vary from the icy and slippery highways of the Northern Territory to the highly congested road of metropolitan centres of Toronto, Vancouver and Quebec. Many accidents happen in the built-up congested areas of the city. Winter is naturally a hazardous season in Canada because of extremely cold temperatures, challenging driving conditions and often severely hazardous winter storms. Always be extra careful when driving under these conditions and take care when travelling through countryside roads.
United States of America.
Every year there are about 1 million collisions with deer on the US roads and serious accidents that involve speeding, especially in Mississippi. Though American law enforcement works efficiently compared with a place like Russia, the high American teen drinking rate makes it tough to bring down drunk driving deaths and accidents. Many incidents occur at intersections where drivers are sometimes shown speeding through a red light only to end in a fatal crash.
Czech Republic.
The condition of roads aren't too bad, but prepare yourself for terrible drivers, particularly on the motorways. Many drivers just don't have the patience or manners, and the local newspapers are full of stories every day about stupid drivers who cause accidents. For this reason, don't drive here, but use a public transportation or a cab.
Mexico.
Mexican drivers are much more aggressive driving than most other places. The roads are very different and introduce a new kind of speed bump called topes, which are still spheres embedded in the road. These have caused massive vehicle damage to drivers who have sped over them. Law enforcement in Mexico roads are pretty much nothing, as the police are often willing to accept bribes in return for letting them go.
New Zealand.
Unlike in a typical car accident Melbourne scenario, the wide open country roads encourage some drivers to go beyond the speed limits. Off the main highways, some roads may be unsealed and extra care needs to be taken. A few of these roads are not safe for vehicles and insurance does not cover them. In winter, some roads may be treacherous due to ice or snow, particularly around mountain passes. Because of the far distances between settlements and cities, drivers become fatigued, often resulting in crashes. It's said that 14% of all fatal crashes is due to fatigued drivers.
Turkey.
Turkey's roads are a large problem when driving here. Standards of driving are generally lower than those in Europe and the USA. Drivers will regularly ignore road rules and overtake in dangerous situations and may ignore traffic signals altogether, so you should always drive cautiously. It's always advisable to never drive in any major cities, particularly Istanbul. Driving at night presents particular hazards on poorly lit roads, which will be driven by badly lit or unlit vehicles and may have potholes, missing manhole covers and other obstacles.
Poland.
Poland's ranking is not a surprise. It's mostly due to poorly marked roads not built for today's heavy traffic. Polish road infrastructure is extensive but generally poorly maintained, and high-speed motorways currently in place are insufficient. Polish road death statistics are high for European standards, and drivers' behaviour is sometimes very poor in terms of impatience, rudeness and absence of ordinary common sense. Tailgating and road rage are frequently common, and when travelling between smaller cities or towns, you will also encounter slow-moving farm vehicles and tractors, bicycles and sometimes drunks.
Greece.
Greece has the highest car accident rate in Europe. Greek drivers are considered very aggressive, and driving defensively is the only option when on the roads. There are a lot of motorbikes in Greece, and this can contribute to many accidents, including things like stop signs, which are more of a landmark for the Greek drivers and are rarely obeyed.
Hungary.
Motorists frequently pass cars at the last possible moment, resulting in a daily near head-on collisions. As there are few shoulders alongside Hungarian roads, motorists are frequently passing cyclists, and the number of fatalities have risen sharply in recent years. Hungarians tend to drive very aggressively, and tailgating, flashing and honking is very common, especially on motorways. Like Russia, you will often see motorists fighting each other during traffic jams.
Russia.
It seems that there is a world of difference between what a Russian can expect to learn about the road while preparing for a test and what they actually find out when they pass. With around only 15% of their accidents being blamed on drunk drivers, the other 85% seem to be coming from a combination of bad driving, terrible road conditions and a lack of policing. Winter is the most dangerous time of the year to drive in Russia, for obvious reasons. It's also noted that Russia has one of the world's highest rates of alcohol-related accidents.
Korea.
Driving is not recommended in Korea, as the roads are plagued with traffic jams, and many drivers tend to get reckless under such conditions, weaving in and out of traffic. Drivers would often try to speed past traffic lights when they are about to turn red, including transit buses and trucks, whether pedestrians are on the crosswalk or not. Korea's roads have become so dangerous when you see some of the driving habits: jumping red lights, ignoring pedestrians, making sharp turns and so on. Many, but not all Koreans are also aware of this. This is one of the main reasons why the rate of people using bicycles for transport is so low. Note that road courtesy is almost non-existent in Korean cities, and it's best to read up on the Korean road culture before attempting to drive here.
United Arab Emirates.
The land of oil, excess and 7-star hotels also happens to be one of the most dangerous places to get behind the wheel, with an estimated 37 out of every 100,000 drivers and passengers dying on the road. It has the highest rate of road fatalities in the Middle East and one of the highest rates in the world. Drivers often drive at high speeds. Unsafe driving practices are common, especially on inner city highways. On highways, unmarked speed bumps and drifting sand create additional hazards. Pedestrians should also get great care, as over 25% of road fatalities are pedestrians.
Taiwan.
Motorists in Taiwan generally don't pay attention to traffic signals, so you occasionally see some vehicles go through red lights, and above all pay no attention to the inconvenience and safety of others. Scooters are some of the worst. They generally ignore traffic laws, safety, and if you hit them, they always claim it's your fault regardless of the situation. Drivers are also much more aggressive in Taiwan than most other countries. If visiting Taiwan, it's also noted that the pedestrians never have the right of way, so don't expect cars, scooters or motorbikes to stop for you.
Egypt.
Egypt is a country that is popular with tourists since it has pyramids, its history and beautiful cities to tour. But it has one of the highest spots on the list of dangerous countries to drive in, with a total of 15,983 deaths from automobile incidents. Traffic is terrible, drivers are undisciplined and the roads are in bad condition. Traffic lights and regulations are ignored and accidents are frequent. Egyptians from the big cities think they have everything under control and drive far too fast on the lone dusty roads. The burnt out cars and buses along the side of the road are the silent witness of fatal accidents. 42 people per 100,000 die on Egypt's roads, which is estimated at 6,000 traffic related fatalities a year.
Vietnam.
Driving in Vietnam is like nothing you've ever experienced before. Cars, buses and trucks use the inside lane, whereas motorbikes use the outside lane. To say the traffic in Vietnamese cities is chaotic is an understatement. Roads are a seething mass of traffic, mainly motorbikes, with the occasional stranded pedestrian ducking and diving trying to avoid being hit. Motorbikes and cars seldom obey any rules of the road, and it often seems amazing that only 30 people die per day on Vietnam roads. Once out of the cities, traffic is generally lighter, but roads are in worse condition, and the fact that traffic is lighter gives buses and lorries the opportunity to speed and overtake on blind bends. Roads won't have streetlights, and there are likely to be unlit vehicles and animals running in the road, so you should avoid driving at night altogether.
Israel.
Car accident fatalities in Israel are par with most European countries and less than half of that in the United States. However, Israeli drivers are known to be aggressive and impatient. Take this into consideration if you decide to drive in Israel and use caution. Be prepared for other drivers not to yield when they normally should do and not respect your right of way. While most major highways have a physical separation median, many lower traffic intercity roads do not.
India.
Notorious for its chaotic traffic, India might be one of the most terrifying places to drive. Giant traffic jams, tightly packed lanes and a complete disregard for traffic signs and markings. Alongside standard motorists on India's city streets, drivers will also have to deal with the noise of car horns and streets seethed with cars, cows, mopeds, bikes and pedestrians. Outside the cities, old badly held together vehicles hurtle along poorly maintained roads at breakneck speeds. Drivers often leave car lights off at night when driving in poorly lit streets and sometimes shut off engines completely when going down hills.
China.
Chinese traffic is dangerous for vehicles, bicycles and pedestrians. Road accidents in China are very common and often fatal. According to Chinese statistics, China has about 100,000 traffic deaths a year, more than twice the number in the United States. Of course, counting motorcycles, trucks and buses, China probably has far more vehicles. To a newcomer, Chinese traffic appears to have no rules, or if there are rules, it appears that they are neither followed nor enforced. To see vehicles and bicycles driving the wrong side of the road is not uncommon. Many cyclists will not wear reflective clothing and pedestrians will never have the right of way. Drivers will also run many red lights, especially large construction trucks. These drivers are paid by how many trips they make and because of this are seen speeding through without slowing down.
Thailand.
Thai drivers often drive too fast, make risky moves, drive drunk, drive on the shoulder to pass other cars, and in the case of motorbikes, drive on the shoulder going in the opposite direction to oncoming traffic just to get a turn off further on the road. Many of Bangkok's roads change their one-way direction at certain hours of the day because they believe this is a way to solve the city's traffic jams. Every such plan involves changing the flow of traffic, which causes one-way roads to suddenly run in the opposite direction, or the number of the lanes being reduced from 8 to 1. Violation of road rules are ignored by many corrupt police officers who would rather take a bribe than help save the lives of drivers.
South Africa.
South Africa has some of the world's deadliest roads. Deficient town planning in rural and low-income areas as well as drunk driving are among the factors that contribute to the problem. Among them is the high car theft rate and homicide. Drivers of minibuses and taxis can behave erratically and often turn a blind eye to rules and road safety considerations. In many of South Africa's rural areas, the roads are not fenced, so watch out for dogs, chickens and sheep to wander out onto the road. These can be particularly hazardous at night. It's also important to never pick up any hitchhikers even if they attempt to stop your vehicle, as this will surely end in a theft or assault.
Afghanistan.
Driving in Afghanistan may be chaotic, especially with pedestrians, animals and other vehicles using the same roads altogether. The millions of landmines in Afghanistan mean drivers will also run the risk of triggering bombs. Also the fact that the UK Foreign Office advice stated in March 2012 that no part of Afghanistan should be considered immune from violence and the potential exists throughout the country for hostile acts. You definitely wouldn't want to pass through one of those neighbourhoods.
Libya.
Libya ranks as the second most dangerous Arab locale to drive in. Anyone visiting Libya should know that police don't routinely enforce traffic laws, and that Libyan drivers have a reputation for being reckless on the roads. Drivers often speed through red lights and cross multiple lanes of traffic in order to make turns. Pedestrians pose a threat too, often walking into the roads and challenging oncoming traffic. The reason for this misery is a neglect of the public infrastructure during Gaddafi's reign. As we all know, he preferred to invest in luxurious furniture for his palace instead of investing in decent roads. An additional threat for drivers, especially on less used roads, is that many unexploded remnants of war remain littered around the country.
Iraq.
If by any chance you visit Iraq, try hiking everywhere instead of driving. The main stage of the war on terror has a traffic fatality rate of 38.1 per 100,000 motorists and passengers. Reckless driving is normal, signs are scarce and speed limits are ignored. A tendency to beat the traffic by driving up the wrong side of the road is particularly deadly. Driving at night may be safer alternative to daytime driving. Be aware that Iraq, like any war zone, has minefields everywhere. In short, do not go anywhere without escort from the Iraqi army. If you encounter any military personnel, always ensure your lights are on. Slow or pull over to the side of the road and follow any instructions given. Resistance to continuing military occupation, military, police or anyone associated with the Iraqi government, as well as increasing factional and sectarian conflict, make street warfare, bombings and other acts of armed violence daily occurrences.